Hello and welcome to Somerset Highlander. Today we're going to continue looking at creating a wildlife pond. You can start to see that some of the plants are doing better than others. It's been about a week now since I planted these. The far side, the water mint, is doing very well as you'd expect. The blue flag irises seem to be doing okay, and the spearwort is doing very well. But these sad rushes are not doing great, I have to say, at the moment, but I'm hoping that they'll perk up. So here you can see we have our first oxygenating plants, Ranunculus aquatilis, or water crowfoot is its common name. It's great just to plop in the water, and it will happily attach itself to the ground if you plant it, but it can also do well just floating in the water. These are attached, as you can see, with little, they're biodegradable sort of bands, so over time they'll disintegrate harmlessly in the water, and that'll just help keep them underneath the water. So now you can see one of the plants. They're very robust. This tends to be one of the earlier oxygenators that are available to buy, as they can withstand the colder weather. They do like the sun though, and they'll quite happily grow quite quickly when you do get the warmer weather arriving. So as you can see here, I've just dropped them into the pond, and they'll quite happily float and gradually start to expand the cover that they provide. They're great at removing toxins from a pond, and just to help keep the pond in balance for wildlife. So it's Friday 29th of April, it's nearly 5 o'clock, and the sun's coming in now. It's getting a bit warmer, but you can start to see the plants that we put in the pond nearly probably a couple of weeks ago, are really starting to develop now. I think they're a little bit further out of the water than I'd like, partly because I haven't put them in baskets yet, big baskets, but also because the pond's just going down a bit in terms of height due to the very dry time of year we've had. I got from my very nice neighbour some lovely irises, and actually they've taken quite well. I think they should do quite well where they are, because the bulbs, the rhizomes, should get baked really nicely where they are, certainly in the late afternoon sun, and the fact that they're in amongst some stones as well, which will also transfer heat, will help bake them, and that's apparently what irises need and like. Wouldn't expect to see them flower this year, but hopefully next year we'll get a really good display. Obviously we still have the areas that we're going to plant shortly, probably next week, with a range of other plants. One of the real successes so far has been the landscape turf that we put in. If you'd have seen in one of my earlier videos, when it was laid in November, I had a few plants there, but obviously quite low down, quite nondescript. And actually, as you can see now, it's really grown into this abundance of flowers and grasses, and it gives a lot of texture and height to the surrounding pond. And if I scan round to the right, you can also see it round to the other side, and it's doing well. I think it adds a lot, and it's just really interesting seeing the different flowers as they come up. You'll be able to see that we also have pond skaters, as we talked about before. There's 2 here, but actually there's probably about 4 or 5 now in the pond. We're hoping obviously by end of this year we'll actually have a range of insects and amphibians living here, but it might take some time. But from my last film of the pond, you can see that the yellow flag iris is doing okay on the right, as well as the Dutch rush. This one's looking a bit more sad. I don't know why. It might just not be getting enough sun. Just sometimes I just don't like it. But overall, they're doing okay. You can see here we have the watercress and the mint, the water mint, and they're both doing really well. The watercress is really stretching out. You can see these little fronds that are actually starting to stretch out. It's probably doubled in size in the last sort of week, and it's really starting to give some cover to the pond, and I'm really liking how well it's doing here. We will have to replant it, but that's okay, but it clearly likes this side of the pond. And then obviously from that side you then move across and we have some more watercress, and we have the marsh marigold. It's doing quite well here on the left, but the watercress not so much. It does have a few fronds coming out, so it's obviously starting to grow, but not as prolifically. And then if I scoot round and down, you can see one lily leaf, but actually I've just moved into deeper water now, and we have a second one here that was above the water, and I would give it a day or two, it'll be back above the water. And then we have another one that's stretching forth here, and we actually have a fourth leaf that's starting to make its way to the surface. I'm not planning on moving the lily any further into the depths because it does need a bit of sun, and that's probably the optimum space for it. And then if I swing round, you can see the lesser spearwort is doing really well on both sides, near and far, as is the blue flag iris, and again the mint. What you will also see hopefully in here, if I just try and zoom down, you can start to see under the water the crow's foot, the Rambuncula's. It's doing really well, starting to really oxygenate the pond. I've got 6 plants in here and they seem to be all doing very well.